Dr. Mark Hyman, who I love, posted a post today on social media that states GLP-1s increase risk for thyroid cancer based on a new study that just came out, and we are going to break it down because you've heard me talk about this not one, not two, not even 10 times, but more. Let's dig in. We're going deep. Strap in. Basically, it's a study that looked at people who used GLP-1s and their incidence of thyroid cancer early-ish on in the utilization of these meds compared to people who were on different diabetes medications. There were 3 other types, but let's just break it down into GLP diabetes medications and other versions, types of diabetes medications, and compare risk for thyroid cancer. Overall, there were over 350,000 study participants, and around 40,000 of those used GLPs. The others were on various other types of diabetes meds. The average time people who were on GLPs were in the study was about 1.8 years, comparative to a little over 3 years for most of the other drugs. There were study participants that were in the study longer than that, but that's the average. So what they're trying to display here is looking at first year, second year, and 2+ year increased risk or incidence of thyroid cancer. And what they found is in the first year, they detected an increased incidence of thyroid cancer that is statistically significant in those people on GLPs. Y'all, it doesn't end there, so you need to keep listening. The second year, there was no increased risk. And the third year, strangely, there might have been a statistically significant reduction in risk for thyroid cancer. Or I should really say a potential risk reduction in thyroid cancer that needs to be further studied. But here is where you guys are being led wrong. There is something in studies called detection bias, meaning if you're looking for something and you're screening for it more often than maybe you normally would, you're going to find it, right? Now, I assume that your thought line would be, well, it can't be a detection bias because they're doing screening for people on GLPs versus people who are on non-GLP based diabetes medications, right? I know what you're thinking. And you're wrong. So, the people in the study on GLP based medications were actually screened with an ultrasound to detect thyroid cancer more often than people who are on other forms of diabetes medications. Do you see how this is flawed? At the 6-month mark, and remember, the study says we're at an increased risk in the first year of treatment with GLPs for thyroid cancer. At the 6-month mark, GLP users at a rate of 1.2% of people in the study were screened via ultrasound. Every other type of diabetes medication was checked with an ultrasound at a rate of 0.8%. At 12 months, the rates of ultrasound for GLP users were 2.1%, and the rates of all the other people on other diabetes medications were 1.5%. Do you see what's happening here? You guys are not being told the full picture. In fact, the biggest study of its kind came out just 2 weeks ago. It was a large-scale international cohort study from Canada, Denmark, Norway, South Korea, Sweden, and Taiwan, and it looked at almost 100,000 people using GLPs compared to 2.5 million using another form of diabetes medications over the course of about 1.8 to 3 years on average, and found no statistically significant risk for thyroid cancer. And guess who didn't fund it? Pharma. So you guys need to understand that you cannot believe everything you hear. And Dr. Hyman, I adore you. I love you. You're brilliant. You should take down this post because it's going to harm a lot of people and create a lot of unnecessary and unfounded fear.